हाय एवरीवन, मेरा नाम है अनीता शर्मा और आज मैं हूँ डॉक्टर फर्डिनेंड रॉड्रिक्स के साथ एक बार फिर से। और आपको अगर याद होगा तो मैं मुंबई गई, पूरा वर्कशॉप मैंने उनका देखा था। मैं उसका वीडियो का लिंक यहाँ पे कहीं पे अपलोड कर रही हूँ, प्लीज उसको भी जाके देखिएगा। जहाँ पे थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग माई रिक्वेस्ट। आई वेलकम यू वंस अगेन ऑन माई चैनल। थैंक यू सो मच।
Pleasure to be talking to you again, Anita, and I'm so happy to be I'm honored to be on your show.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions today, okay? So, these questions, which I often get, I do not have those answers, but because you have that expertise of 35 years in this field, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions. What are those things which we need to take care and we need to keep in our minds before deciding which car to buy, specifically considering a wheelchair user, considering a left leg disabled or a right leg disabled person or a hand disabled person?
Sure. The most important thing which you need to realize, okay, when buying a car, you're buying the car for yourself. Okay. So you got to be, may not be the right word to say, but it's a fact. You need to be selfish. Okay. Because what suits you will not suit somebody else. And you're going to be the person who's going to go on long drives, and getting in and out of the car should be comfortable for you. That's the reason why you have to select the car of your choice. Don't go by others who say, this doesn't look good and this doesn't look. Ultimately, it's you have to put yourself in the driver's seat. So it starts from getting into the car. How easy is the car? You need to do a little bit of car shopping. Don't look at the first car you see and say, "Ah, ye theek hai," because every car has options. So first option would be, check out the cars, go to different showrooms, Hyundai, Maruti, and the different showrooms. Okay, I would suggest that you sit in the driver's seat of each of them. Look around you, how much you can see at the front, how much you can see at the back, how good is the visibility in the mirrors. Okay, and then how easy it is for you to get in and out. Then you look at different models, say, okay, this model is okay, you shortlist it, another model shortlist, different manufacturers, because every car has a different quality, a different feature to offer you. So you need to do it accordingly. Then you go on to your budgeting and say, okay, this is not affordable and this is affordable. And sometimes you pay a little bit more for the pleasure that you will get on a long term basis. Okay, so that's the first way you need to decide. Secondly, for wheelchair users, you need to see how much close. See, a lot of the cars with the seat is closer to the door, there's always a border and a gap. So you need to see how close is the gap from the door, from the seat, from the door, because you need to bridge it, especially if you're on a wheelchair and you need to transfer. Now you can transfer to if the seat is close by, or other to fit a transferring device, like a bridge in between where you can get in from your wheelchair to the car seat. Okay, that is number one. Number two is, does that car have enough dicky space? Suddenly you realize that you've got a different size of wheelchair, whether that fits into the dicky. So these are, you need to make a kind of a checklist and check one by one. Other thing is that you look, if the car has CNG, your wheelchair most probably will not fit because it takes up most of the space. For cars which have got good dicky space or good space inside, where you do not have to compromise and put it on your back seat, and then there's only one person who can sit in the front, and that's the end of your distance in the car. Or it has, the back seat is folding, where one section you can put the wheelchair and the other still a seat available for you to take another passenger in it. So that is the kind of things you need to select. Secondly, then you need to look at manual or automatic or AMT. Now the difference between AMT and automatic, they are both automatic cars, okay, but AMT is automatic manual transmission, and the automatic is the gearbox itself is automatic. So the automatics consume maybe a less efficient on fuel, but the AMTs are closer to your manual transmission vehicles on fuel. So you can, options of that. Automatics, if you select, there are very few models which have got a full automatic. EMTs are now the thing which 90% of the cars models have got EMT, and the next is your manual. So now if you need, once you select the car, then you know what kind, then you need to decide next on what are the controls that you need to fit in the car.
Mm.
So depending on whether you've got a right limb disability, left limb disability, both limb disability, or
Mm.
per hand, right hand disability, left limb. So then the configurations of what controls and options are there, you can decide on, you know, which are the controls to fit.
Mm. Mm.
But basically on the selection of the car, be a bit selfish. Sit in the driver's seat of each and every one of them as though you're going to drive it. Don't feel, you know, bad and, you know, ask someone else to do that for you, because the person cannot understand what you need in detail. So you need to be the, you know, take a call on that.
Yeah, I understand. So I often get a question like, I want to buy a dream car, and because of my disability, I'm not able to buy that car, and I have to, negotiate with some other car. So that's a very disheartening comment, which I generally hear. But I always say that at least you are able to drive, that kind of liberation you are able to have, and that kind of empowerment you can derive from this particular vehicle as well, because the objective is to increase our mobility. So maybe in the future years some other car is going to come to fulfill your dreams and desires. So this is something which is I often get as a question. So my next question to you, do you want to add anything, because you are smiling?
Yeah, because see, if you dream it now, you just go ahead. We have done cars modifications from Nano. Recently, I did an Audi. I have done BMW. I have done the latest Mercedes, which is almost close to, I think the latest one is close to a crore. Okay, so it's, if you dream it, you can drive it. It's
That's true.
ability. So you, sky is the limit.
Uh-huh.
The whole idea of getting people driving is been always my dream and my challenge. And
Mm.
come what may, you know, what kind of car from, you know, I've tried and made it possible every way. We had cars as small as Nano, which I have made wheelchair accessible. So it's, you know, I need you guys to come across and, you know, pick my brain and say, ये गाड़ी हमको चलाना है, तुम ढूंढो कैसा करना है.
What are those things which you make for people with disabilities to ease the life?
See, the controls, basically, my whole idea of making the controls has been, I need to put myself in your shoes. Okay. And then I just need to visualize what you would need to drive. Okay. So, accordingly, whether it's an automatic or a manual, now you visualize your right leg controls the brake and accelerator, your left leg controls the clutch. Okay, so there are a lot of there are a lot of matching, you know, permutation combinations that you can use to get driving. So if you have a right limb disability, you have an option of driving a manual car, okay, with the right limb control shifted to hand, so you have a hand control brake and accelerator. Now, if you have a right limb disability and you want to use an automatic, your left leg is in good condition, we can fit an auxiliary accelerator where with your left leg you can drive the car by pressing the accelerator and brake with your left leg.
Mm.
Then if you have a issue with a left limb disability, you can either drive a automatic and you don't need any modifications to be done, or you can drive a manual car and with your right leg you can control your brake and accelerator, with your left leg we can give a hand operated clutch. Now in a case where both limb disability, you have both the options available. If you use a manual car, you can have brake, accelerator and clutch on the hand. That is a bit challenging. Otherwise, you can drive an automatic with just a hand control, brake and accelerator.
Mm.
So the other thing is, if you have like a right hand disability, okay. Now RTO, the medical examiner will only recommend an auto transmission car or a AMT. So you can just have a steering knob fitted on the steering wheel. Now, since your legs are in good condition, the lower limbs are good condition, you can operate the brake and accelerator with your lower limbs. But also you need to visualize that your light controls, the turning lights and the parking lights are on the right side. So we can put a lever and bring it to the left side. So with your fingers, while you're operating the steering, with your fingers, you can still operate the lights and the turning lights. And also in this case, now in cases where you have a right arm disability and you're using your left hand to control the steering. Now, if you're using an automatic, because that is what is recommended by RTO, your medical examiner. So then in that case, we also fit some switches on the floor. So with your left leg is free. Certain controls we can switch to the floor where you can operate those buttons with your leg as well. So everything is not, control on your hand, since you need a good hand to operate the steering. Similarly, for the right, if you have a left arm disability, similarly you can do the same thing by operating it on the other side, and then you can put the other controls, the switches onto the floor. So that covers most of it. Now, for other where you have transfer, where you need a transfer, like when the seat is a little bit inside and your wheelchair comes to the door, you have a big gap to bridge. Okay? Then we can have like you required for we were talking about wheelchair transfer from a wheelchair. Now, the thing is the driver's seat. Some of them are very close to the door. Some of them have got a broad gap in between. So we have also made a kind of a transfer plate. Now this plate, you open it, so it bridges the gap between the wheelchair and the seat. So a person on the wheelchair can slide onto that, okay, which is very firm, and then slide onto the seat. Okay. This is a folding device. So once you're in, you fold it and it folds backward. So this is also an option which is available. Then another option which we have made earlier, now we are reconstructing and making some new designs on it, is a wheelchair hoist. In cases if you visualize a paraplegic coming to the car, okay, he wants independence, so he can from the wheelchair transfer onto the driver's seat. Then what do you do with the chair? Okay, so we have made a device where once the wheelchair is folded, okay, you can hook it onto a system and it is lifted and it goes flat on the roof. So totally you're taken care of. You don't need another person to help you to put the wheelchair in the car. So it's easy to store. Instead of, even if you have a helper or if you have an elderly person with you, see, lifting the wheelchair and putting it in the car is not an easy task because some of the chairs are a little bit heavy. So here it gets stored automatically, and at the press of a button, it comes on when you need it.
Okay.
So this becomes another useful device.
Okay. So I have two follow-up questions here. So first is, when we are talking about wheelchair hoist, because it is somewhere like on the top of the car or somewhere in the back, it is going to fix. So what about how to maneuver traffic police? Because cities like Chandigarh, generally, if we have something extra on the car or behind the car, so how to handle that situation, sir?
I don't think you should have any issue from the police because it's a wheelchair that you're carrying on your roof. Wheelchair. And now, okay, there were some apprehensions about having carriers and on top, but this is not a carrier. Okay. It is a device which is housing the wheelchair, storing the wheelchair. So it's you should not have any problem as such with traffic, anybody.
Okay. Second follow-up question. So when we talk about steering knobs and auxiliary accelerators, okay, are these ARI approved?
Yeah, they all the hand controls that we have in the auxiliary accelerator and all the knob is all ARI approved.
Okay. So next question to you is, so for instance, if somebody lives in Bangalore or any other state in India and gets it done from you, okay, so sometimes what happens is the RTO is not able to or not willing to register the car in the in that state. So if that person gets the car in, say, Karnataka, and sends the car to you for modification, and then car goes back to Karnataka, and the person goes to the RTO, and then RTO says that because it is modified in Maharashtra, we can't register, or we don't want to, and we will not register your car. So in those scenarios, how to handle this problem? Because I get this kind of query very often.
Actually, if you clearly see on the trade certificate that we have, it's written they're valid throughout India,
Mm,
and as a mandate, they have to accept it.
mm,
There's no such thing because it's like the Motor Vehicle Act. Motor Vehicle Act is standard all over India,
mm,
and it's part of the transport
mm.
document. So this certificate is authentic and it's valid all India. So they have
Okay.
to accept it
Okay. Is it for the steering knobs as well?
for everything.
For everything. Okay.
Whatever is approved,
Hmm.
as see, now the thing is the trade certificate is authentic by the RTO. It's certified by the RTO
Hmm.
for modifying vehicles, for doing retrofitment for vehicles for driving for the disabled, right?
Hmm.
So that means all these things come under that: the hand control, the steering knob, the auxiliary axle, because we have taken prior ERA approval for
Hmm.
all vehicles.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
they all come under one, kind of retrofitment. It becomes a retrofitment because it's fitted at a later date.
Hmm. 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 Okay. I got it. Okay. Moving to the next part of this conversation, sir, because you are from Maharashtra. So I want to know the rules to buy a car under the adapted vehicle category in Maharashtra.
So for the adapted vehicle, uh, one of whatever standard things you require is, one is that you need to have your UDI card in place,
Hmm.
and with that you can get your GST exemption, which you'll have to apply online. Those
Hmm.
are the main things. RTO requires you to have a driving fitness certificate. That means it should be certified by a civil surgeon of
Hmm.
what are the kind of controls you need to have in your car. So they do an assessment, and
Hmm.
assess you and see whether you require controls for the right limb, left limb, right hand or left hand, and they will put their recommendations down.
Hmm.
So the next thing, once you have all that and you have already purchased your car, okay, uh, there's a form called the BTI form, which
Hmm.
is available in RTO, which you need to fill up. Basically, it's a simple form. It just has your name and address, vehicle details. That means if it is not, it's a new car, then it's unregistered. So you need to put the chassis number and engine number. And otherwise, you put the registration number. Then below that is, few 1, 2, 3, 4, basically to write down what modifications you're planning to do in the car. So normally you will write exactly what is written in your driving fitness certificate that you have got from the civil surgeon.
Hmm.
Okay. So you will write auto transmission with hand controls or auto transmission with auxiliary accelerator. You just need to write that. You need to sign at the bottom, and you need a RTO to endorse it. Basically, he will certify and put permitted from authorized workshop.
Hmm.
So then you need to bring that and come to us so that we know it is authentic. That documentation is goes on the right process, because this is like taking permission before you do the fitting on the car.
Hmm.
Then we do the fittings. Once we do the fittings, then we issue a letter with all our documentation and a schematic drawing of what we have done. Okay, and then this is all taken to RTO for. He will inspect the vehicle and he
Hmm.
endorse on your documentation that it is for an adapted vehicle. Then
Hmm.
it written into your RC book that vehicle is adapted.
Hmm.
And then you need to apply for your learner's license. And after about a month, you can go for your permanent license to give your test.
Okay. Okay. It means that you need to have your car first with all these steps required
Yes.
to be fulfilled. and then apply for a learning license and a DL, final permanent license.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, got it. So another question which I have is like, from where to get this assessment done? So is there any place in Maharashtra, in Bombay, or in other cities as well?
See, in Bombay, they have it in All India Institute of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation at Haji Ali. They are one of the best known places to go.
Mm.
Otherwise, for those out of Mumbai, the Thana Civil Hospital is there. You need to basically get it certified by a civil surgeon or civil hospital.
Mm.
They issue these certificates. So you need to get it from them because that is the authentic certificate which is recognized by RTO.
Okay.
You need to get it done from
Do
them.
we have a list of these assessment centers or hospitals so that
Yes.
we can share with the audience that these are available centers and you go and get your assessment done?
I can do it for, I can give the Haji Ali address and the Thana address.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have to look up to all the civil hospitals which do, basically, most of the civil hospitals do the driving fitness certificate.
Okay.
On your area, you need to go accordingly to
Okay.
you.
Got it. Okay. So once a person buys a car, okay, and learn to drive and then start driving. So what are those things which you need to take care while driving to maintain the car, and what are all those equipments which we need to carry on long distance driving?
Okay, one is that once you get behind the wheel, the first thing you need to do is first get used to your car, understand your car. समझौता होना चाहिए with the गाड़ी.
Uh,
So that understanding may, you should check out your mirrors, the mirror, what you can see in the rear view mirror, the side mirrors, and start getting used to them.
hmm,
Avoid as much as possible when you're in your learning stage for all these gadgets because you're too dependent on them, especially all the reverse sensors and all. Sometimes if they fail, then you're in deep trouble.
hmm,
So it's best to start getting used to what is just the basic. Your front mirror and your two side mirrors are what is going to show you everything. Because there's a lot that the rear view sensor doesn't show you. But I tell you, like sometimes if there's a stone low down or you know, is there's a child there or a dog there or something, you know, you will not really know. But whereas start getting through the mirrors and adjust it to what you can see, what you can't see. That is very important. And when you're getting used to your vehicle, especially everybody panics on slopes, reversing. These are things you need to practice first. Okay, and get used to it. Don't wait till you come to the slope. फिर बोलेगा यार गाड़ी पीछे जा रहा है, you know. So you should go to the slope. We challenge the slope. Go there, stop the car in the middle of the slope, let it come backwards, forward for 2-3 times, and then you'll get the hang of it.
So I'll tell you something here. I'm sorry I'm intervening in here. So when I started driving in 2009, my manual car, it was an Alto. I was not able to go up, you know, I was not able to manage my accelerator and my clutch at the same time. So, and brake at the same time. So I really got confused. And then the moment I shifted from manual to an automatic, I found it extremely convenient because it always goes upward. So it doesn't go, backward. So that is the difference which I always tell people, that you will never find any problem when you are going upward. So just wanted to share this experience because you're talking about slope experience.
Yeah. So it is, you know, if you take even a normal car, normal person driving, reversing, going up slopes is always a nightmare. Okay. It's a question of just getting used to it and learning it. So you need to go and conquer those slopes. And stop bravely, you go and stop 2-3 times, you'll come back. But time at least you will go through. I know people who is, when the slope would come in, they would avoid the bridge and they would go from down. Like, you know, that fear was there. Or reversing, parking. These are all things which you just need to fine tune on.
Absolutely.
Everybody has learned, okay, from zero.
Mm.
It doesn't make a difference whether you're disabled or you're able.
Mm.
You can do it. It's a question of facing the challenge.
Mm.
And you need to do it. Take it head on, couple of times. Practice makes perfect. See, you will have hitches every time, but the
Mm.
moment you start challenging it, now you will get better every time.
Mm.
By reversing, in a straight line, I learned that way. I mean, you use an imaginary line on your side, just parallel to it, okay, and automatically the other side is taken care of.
Yeah.
So, you need to be very vigilant. That's why your mirrors come very handy. You need
Mm.
to get frequency of using the mirrors.
Mm.
Earlier, at least now, the trend is that people are using the mirrors. Earlier, the left mirror would always be folded. Or earlier days, the cars never had door mirrors. The Fiat would only have one mirror in the center.
In my Alto, I never had any left mirror.
Yeah, yeah. And even initially, the cars would only come with the right mirror. They would not have the left mirror.
Mm.
Every car in mandatory has both the mirrors. And they are much more easier now. You get the automatic mirrors also where you can adjust them every time.
Absolutely.
So these are small things that go a long way.
Mm.
Need
Mm.
to use.
Mm.
Okay. So this is one of the important things of getting behind the wheel.
Mm.
The other thing is there is a load of lights which you see when you put your ignition on. There's some lights will come on and they'll go off.
Mm.
To understand what each one is saying. See, everything is telling you something. Never ignore it so that you do not get into deeper trouble somewhere else.
Mm.
The light is on, find out what is the light that is on.
Mm.
And you forget to put your handbrake down. There's a red light coming on.
Absolutely.
Driving it with the handbrake on. After some time, okay, your brake drums are going to heat up because your brakes are on.
Mm.
Suddenly, and smoke coming out of your wheels. You
Okay.
may the car getting jammed. So it's telling you something. That same light also, if you have less brake oil in your car, okay, maybe oil has leaked out or something, it will give you a light.
Mm.
So you heed to it.
Mm.
Every light has something to tell you. Then you have a power steering light. Power steering suddenly you feel is become hard.
Mm.
Okay. Then
Mm.
you need to see whether the oil is less or the
Mm.
oil is leaked out. Normally these things don't happen, but sometimes when they happen, you need to know before somebody takes you for a ride on the road. Mechanics today always, the more you show that you don't know, the more they kind of take advantage of you. So you
Mm.
little bit of street smart. Which light, like when the pump, you go to the petrol pump, suddenly he'll say, madam, he'll say, oh, coolant come hai. You will wonder, ha, dalo. And the coolant level it's never normally filled to the brim. It's always between the high and low.
Mm.
Otherwise, it spill out.
Mm.
Basically, it's a coolant has got an expansion tank.
Mm.
Water heats up, it expands, and when it cools down, it draws the water back into
Mm.
the radiator. Normally, you never open the radiator, you always check on the coolant bottle.
Mm.
Also, if your car anytime for any reason overheats and there's steam coming out, never open the radiator cap. Never open because it's pressurized and that thing will just, if you open it, it'll just fly into your face.
Mm.
So never do that. You keep a visual or wait till it cools, then touch it. Use a cloth to open. You normally don't mean if the car has overheated, there are many reasons why it's overheat. Now, if your cooling fan is not working, that will overheat. But
Mm.
what might be there in the coolant bottle? What has happened is the water in the radiator is evaporated and it is not drawn water from the coolant tank. So sometimes you may still see water in the coolant tank, and but the radiator is steaming. So normally best is don't panic. Wait for things to cool down. Many times if your car stops, okay, don't keep cranking your engine because you'll run your battery down, and then when you're fixed it ready to start, you'll have your battery will be dead. And today there are very few people you get to push on the road. Earlier you always had laborers roaming around, and
Somebody to help. But today,
yeah, now it's a little different. So you always conserve your battery.
mm.
That's once it doesn't start, there's some reason if you can locate the reason, better to save your battery for when you really need it to start.
Okay. Okay.
Then you have engine oil indicator.
Mm.
So engine oil is a serious thing because if your engine is running, oil is run out or whatever, your engine will seize and you can be major expense on your engine. Okay, and damage.
Mm.
Normally, you need to check your oil regularly. If you can be up to it at least once a week, open your bonnet, see what it looks like inside. Sometimes small things you need to take care of. There's acid formation on your battery terminals. You can get it clean. You can do it yourself at home, or you can get it clean attended by somebody, because battery is the major issue now, especially for an automatic. You cannot push start the car. Your battery is dead, you are dead. There's
Mm.
nothing you can do. So frequency of the battery, they last for normally 18 months. Keep tabs on it.
Mm.
Suddenly your car will break down when you least expect it, and you will be in deep trouble. And getting stuck on the road is, is like bad medicine, because then whoever you get along the way is going to charge you whatever he feels like, or
Yeah.
he's going to take you for a ride.
So I have one more question here. What about these roadside assistants which are available by many car companies? So are they really helpful, or should
They
we?
are, they are.
Okay.
They are helpful. Okay, again it depends. It will vary from company to company.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that you also should have a fairly good idea.
Mm.
Not tell you, battery is gone when fuel is not there, or somebody. It's basically you need to know your fuel gauge is empty. There's no fuel is not starting. He should not tell you, "Arey madam, ye kharab ho gaya, wo kharab ho gaya." You know, then they start kind of, and that time in your desperation, you'll agree to anything. you know
Mm.
so
Mm.
you need to be smart and find out what is the problem. If you can get off from the car and get on it and ask him to show you, okay, show me what is wrong.
Mm.
That oil is less. Oil needs to be between two levels at least of oil. There is a high level and a low level, so it
Mm.
should be at least between that or closer to the high level. Okay, it should not be right down. And checking the oil in the car should be when the car is switched off. Okay, and it has to wait, then the oil settles down, because if you check in a running car, you will never get a proper level, you will never get a level. Okay, now whereas in power steering and automatic transmission, you need to check the oil with the engine running, because it's being circulated, so that level is proper. Because if you check it when it is off, it may show you more. Okay, so these are the two different things which you need to check. And basically, once you open your bonnet, you can just glance through all the different oil, the brake oil, power steering oil, of course, need to start. Engine oil you can check, battery you can check. So these are the basic things. So all these have got indicators in the car. So heed to them. It is very important. Another thing, the common thing which is there, it's called check light. Check light is there's some electronic issue, some electronic problem, it will give you a check light. So then you need to take it to the dealer or have it, because now most of the cars have to use a laptop to check, to diagnose. So you need to take it to a professional to get it checked.
Okay. And one more thing, we often experience this thing like what should we do when the tire is flat? Because that is we can't change it immediately, and if we are there where roadside assistance is taking time, so is there any item, any product which we can use on the go, which can help us take around 10 to 15 kilometers, so that we can at least manage that?
Yes, there is. See, now in today's use of cars, 90% of the cars are all tubeless tires. So normally you will never have a fast puncture, because it will be going down over a period of time unless the tire is cut. Okay, then the tire will all go off. So the
Hmm.
best way is you carry these air pumps. Okay, these air pumps can be connected to your cigarette lighter. Okay,
Hmm.
even I do normally. If I have a flat at home, then of course I feel too lazy to change it when I can come to my workshop. So I'll just plug in the air pump. I'll fill air in it. Okay, you start the car, you run the pump, you fill air in the tire, and you can drive it to the nearest tire wala and
Okay.
get fixed. So you can drive, can do that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's the thing is what happens. You should not drive it like if you've gone somewhere. First, you need to fill air, then drive it around.
Hmm.
What happens if you drive it too long on a flat tire? Now the tire rests on the rim, which creates the seal.
Hmm.
If you drive on a flat tire for too long, that thing will move from there. It will not seal again. Then to fill the tire with your air pump will be impossible,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it doesn't seal.
Hmm.
So it is important that when you see the puncture, just get it filled immediately, and then you can run it comfortably for some time. And normally there are always small holes which allow you to run couple of kilometers without damaging the tire.
Okay. So these are available on Amazon, right? So these air pumps or
Yeah. Tire inflators.
tire inflators. Okay.
Also, I would always recommend if you can keep one tow rope and one pair of jumpers in the car. It's very helpful. Like even if your batteries run down,
Hmm.
now people may want to help you, but
Hmm.
if you don't have a jumper wire, how will they supply you? See, maybe you are in trouble, or you can help somebody else in trouble by carrying it. And it doesn't occupy much space. And other is the towing tow rope.
Hmm.
Please go to a decent, somebody can pull you to a garage or somewhere like that. Because
Hmm.
not everyone is carrying rope to tie you, to pull you.
Hmm. Hmm. I got it. I got it. Anything which I'm forgetting to ask if you can share, like, because a lot of information I have now, and did I miss something?
Not that I can think of. I think you've covered everything on what you wanted to.
Thank you, and it was really insightful.